It's time for Cynthia at the Table with co-hosts Angela, Arena, and Candy Girl. With special guests, Pastor Ronald L. Bolton, Soul Tim Johnson, and DeMonte Thompson.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Cynthia at the Table. I am your host, Cynthia. Today, we are celebrating the special fathers in our lives. Fathers are equally as important as mothers are in our lives, so you know we had to come back again for another episode dedicated solely to the dads out there. Last season at the table around this time, I gave a little historical context on the founding of Father's Day and how our nation began celebrating this holiday. Even now, though, I'm still intrigued regarding the history of Father's Day. Last Father's Day, I talked about how I had learned in 1924, President Calvin Coolidge recognized Father's Day as the third Sunday in June of that year and encouraged states to do the same. However, Congress only officially recognized Father's Day in 1956 with the passage of a joint resolution. That's amazing because that was only 65 years ago. Obviously, many of the fathers out there were actually fathers long before the holiday was officially recognized by Congress. But wait, it gets a little better. 10 years later, in 1966, President Lyndon Johnson issued a proclamation calling the third Sunday in June to be recognized as Father's Day. And not until 1972 did Richard Nixon permanently establish the observance of that third Sunday in June as Father's Day in the U.S. Now that was only 49 years ago. Now in comparison, and to add some more perspective, Mother's Day became an official U.S. holiday in 1914, which was some 40 years earlier. Wow. So enlightening, yet disheartening to see how, as a nation, we have over the years, while maybe not intentionally, systemically undermined the importance of fathers. What is so really interesting to me is that the protracted length of time it took to make it happen. It's no wonder we see pictures like this one posted on social media. I guess that means there is still much work to be done around fatherhood and celebrating our fathers. Nevertheless, as I'm sure many of our listeners would agree, raising our children is at the top of the list of our biggest accomplishments and responsibilities for a mom and a dad. With that being said, Father's Day is such a heartwarming celebration for me and a big deal in our home. It is a time when we get to acknowledge and honor the men in our lives who have been a role model, father figure, a provider, an encourager, and a protector. That includes biological fathers, stepdads, big brothers, coaches, adopted dads, paternal relative caregivers, and foster parents who have been father figures in the lives of others. As I have shared before, having been raised by my mom and stepdad, I personally have a special appreciation for men who step up and take care of children who are not biologically his own. And I want to again thank and acknowledge today my dad for being there for me. I must also take this opportunity to give another special heartfelt recognition to my incredibly amazing husband, who is a remarkable man, husband, and father, and the backbone of my family, who continues to unselfishly give so much of himself in providing for our family. Happy Father's Day, babe. I also want to recognize and acknowledge the wonderful fathers and husbands of my co-hosts, as well as take a moment to give a shout out to my brothers, brother-in-law, and nephews for being the loving fathers that they are. Well, all right, listeners, you're in for some exciting table talk. We're about to hear from our dynamic special guest, here with us today. We're going to spend some time talking to them about fatherhood and what the role of fathers means to them based on their life journey, upbringing, and experiences, as well as how these experiences have shaped their lives into who they are today. They are young, exceptional Black men who are amazing role models, influencers, fathers, and father-like figures in their own right. That's right, we have some millennials at the table today. They represent faith leaders, educators, executive directors, entrepreneurs, and community advocates. I'm not sure y'all even ready for this today. Up first, let me introduce Pastor Ronald L. Bolden II. Pastor Ronald is married to the great First Lady, Jasmine Bolden, and they have an awesome daughter together named Kanaya. You know the pastors like to start off by telling us they're married and their children and won't do it. A native of Compton, California, he pastors the Great Mount Zion Missionary Baptist Church in the great city of Los Angeles. Pastor Ronald was born for ministry. Being raised in the church and a Christian home prepared him for his calling. He accepted Christ as his Lord and Savior and was baptized at an early age. Pastor Bolden graduated from Gardena Senior High School and earned a bachelor's degree in sacred theology from the St. John's Convergent School of Ministry. He began preaching 11 years ago at the age of 19 and has been a pastor for 3 years. Pastor Bolden has been privileged to be a part of countless faith-based community efforts, partnerships, and engagements with the City of Los Angeles and local county government officials to be a voice for our communities. And through it all, he credits God for continuing to give him the victory. Welcome, Pastor. Please say hello to our listeners.
Hello, everyone. And I want to say thank you so much, Cynthia, for allowing me this opportunity to be a part of this podcast with these great panelists that you have on today, for us to be able to honor and to reflect on fatherhood on Father's Day. Thanks again.
Thank you as well. The pleasure is all mine. Next at the table, we have Soul Tim Johnson, better known as Timmy. Timmy is a Los Angeles native with degrees, yes, plural, in marketing communications, as well as a master's in education. While giving back to the inner city through the grace of God via a career in education for over 20 years, Timmy has also taken the time to mentor and manage aspiring artists in entertainment through artist management. He is currently a partner at Music Maven and BWSA Clothing, the host of the Backpacking with Soul podcast, and Father Baker at Maddie Lee's Cast Iron Cookie, a family cookie business that was started during quarantine with his daughter Penelope and son Gunnar. We can talk about those cookies later. Thank you for joining us, Timmy. Say hello to our listeners.
Peace and love, everybody. Just happy to be here, talk about fatherhood and what that means to everyone. Just loving the platform, loving the beautiful brothers here coming to share the experience, and thanking you for allowing us to talk about this today in your podcast.
Thank you as well. Appreciate you. Last but definitely not least, I would like to introduce DeMonte Thompson. DeMonte is a Compton native and the executive director of Together We Inspire, a Los Angeles-based nonprofit that improves current and former foster youth educational and career outcomes. He is currently a PhD student at UCLA in the School of Education, Urban Schooling Division. His research explores how educational institutions can facilitate success for young boys and men of color, particularly those who have had interactions with the child welfare and justice system. DeMonte is also slam poet and author of inspirational autobiography, Raised from Scratch. As a TEDx talk speaker and featured guest on the Kelly Clarkson Show for his community work, He focuses on putting research into practice. He received his master's degree in education from USC and has undergraduate degree in business management from Cal State Northridge, as they refer to CSUN. He is a board member of the CSUN Alumni Association. DeMonte, welcome and say hello.
Hello, everyone. Good to be here on this panel, and to have this opportunity to share a little bit about my experiences and to be in a community with all of you. I appreciate being in this space and the opportunity to do so. Thank you.
Thank you as well. Well, welcome, welcome, welcome. What a distinguished panelist of guests. Okay, now let's get into some table talk. My first question is, based on your life journey, upbringing, and experiences, what does the role of a father look like, feel like, and mean to you? And we'll start with you, Pastor Ronald.
Well, thank you again for this awesome opportunity. Based on my life journey, my upbringing, my experiences, what does the role of a father look like to me, mean to me? First, foremost, provider, protector, supporter, someone that is always there, whether it's a biological father, a stepfather, or a father figure, someone that is the backbone and the rock for our families and even in our communities. What that looks like in my life is that not only did I have my father in my life, but I had my grandfather, uncles, great uncles, and older cousins, and different pastors and different leaders in the community that helped father me in different ways in areas that my father may not have been strong in. I believe that, that expression that it takes a village to raise a child was brought alive in my life by having such a plethora of men, of great men, to help show me that father, to be that father figure along the way.
Thank you. That's incredible. I'll pass it on to you now, Timmy. Same question.
I want to piggyback on Pastor Ronald's beautiful explanation there. I want to say that it's interesting because I noticed when you opened and you were showering the love to, your husband, you said man, husband, and father. And for that, being a young guy, like growing up, trying to figure out, like, first of all, let me figure out this man thing. What is that? And then as you get older, okay, the husband thing. Then if it goes in that cycle of one, comes after that, it would be, father, hopefully for a lot of us. It's a lot to take in. And I think being a father in this current state, as I've known it, it's there's no blueprint for it really. So I know that the examples that I've had, from men all over, including my father, meant a lot to me because when you look back, that's everything that allowed you to become who you are today. And that's the good, the bad, the L's you took, the wins, all just a process that gets you to, who you are. And you just know that, funny story, like, that these examples, they really mean a lot more than you're thinking, whether it's that person that's teaching you as a father to ride your bike, or if it's, the idea of, I remember I'm later on in life and I hadn't driven a stick in a very long time. And I just happened to be riding with my dad, and he was like, he looked over and said, "Oh, son, I know it's a powerful car, but you got this." And he drove the car first. And I just looked at him driving the car, and some in me was like, well, okay, well, I don't know what I'm tripping about. My dad over there doing it. So I just go over there and I just start driving the car and not even, think about what I was thinking about before. So it's the idea of leading by example. It's the idea of having a strong example there, whether that be just somebody who has, some kind of regiment, somebody who's teaching you something consistently, somebody who's able to talk to you consistently, and to see what that looks like from a male perspective in the home, because those dynamics there, they affect the male child, the female child, and it shapes, who you become, who you end up having a relationship with, and how you interact with people for the rest of your life.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Okay, I'm going to segue over to you, Demonte, with the same question. What is your thinking on this?
Yeah, so my ideas is that, and I appreciate what the others have shared. My ideas is that I couldn't agree more with the village. It takes a village to raise a child. Couldn't agree more with Soul said about being an example and the power of modeling. It makes me think about my experience growing up. I was raised by my great uncle. He was in his late 60s when he took us into his home. So when I was younger, I didn't have an experience to come home and say, "Dad, I fell in love," or "Dad, can you show me this or show me that?" But it was a Southern elder perspective that I received, and I think it was one that has created in me this resilience and this quest for knowledge, and this quest to do things beyond what my hands are capable of. Because my uncle was a cement finisher, and he said, I want you to work hard with your mind, not your hands. Chew tobacco. So I love imitating him, and I love just bringing his energy in this space. But as I think about him, and I think about my biological dad, who unfortunately wasn't present during my upbringing. He was struggling with substance abuse, and not to any volition of his own, but actually being in a community that didn't provide him with the right resources and didn't provide him with the opportunity so he can make money to provide for us. He had 10 children, and now it's probably 15 now. But he's living a good life. I'm glad he's no longer, struggling with substances. And I'm glad that I can, regardless of my experience with him, that I can still think back on the good times and the love that he showed and displayed for me and my siblings. And I think what happens is that when you're a young person and you expect something and it doesn't go your way, you hold on to that. You harbor that energy, that nastiness, and you say, "Man, F my dad, man, F this person." And you don't allow that love to sort of be created new in a new season. And so I sort of want to just kind of end this point that it was only more recently that I was able to kind of forgive my dad and say, you know what, you're still my dad, regardless of the circumstances. And I'm going to take advantage of the time that I have with you.
Incredible. Thank you for that. So the next question I have, and you all touched on it a little bit, but putting it all together, how has this shaped you into your current calling and role and being the distinguished figure you are today in our community? I'll start with you again, Pastor Miles.
Putting it all together, bringing everything to the table that I have learned, that I have experienced, the wisdom and the knowledge and the understanding that I have gained from those who have been father figures in my life. It has shaped me in the place of a husband. It has shaped me in the place of a man. It has shaped me in the place of a father, and even as a pastor. A lot of times, we don't always show up, and be present and active and involved in the lives of those who we actually father. in a more personal way. And from what I've learned, and when I put it all together, it has taught me to be, empathetic. Even from the standpoint of being a pastor, I have the blessing and the burden of fathering, a whole congregation of people that, lean and depend on me for wisdom, for knowledge, for understanding, in the good, in the high times in their life, as well as in their low points. They expect to have that father and father-like love and support. And all that I've learned has helped me to be there, to be empathetic, to show up actively and to stand strong and to try my best to exhibit the strength and then be the example that our community and those who are connected to me biologically as well as through marriage or on any level of relationship, to be that example for them of what a great father looks like, or a father who is being a role model.
Awesome. Okay, Timmy, let's hear how it all pulled together.
So you made it hard because you said distinguished, and sometimes you look at the things that you've done, and you say, man, distinguished. Well, really, I will say this, just thinking about how you opened everything, and you highlighted Mother's Day being, at one period in time, and Father's Day being recognized at another period in time. It's interesting. Like I'm part of a brotherhood group, and it's, a lot of brothers, we get together and we sit and we talk, and this because brothers need to talk to other brothers to see that it's okay that you're going through something, because in this life, a man is typically looked at as someone who, and we know all the cliches, but they're actually true. You can't cry, you got to keep, your head up and, go through fire and, brimstone and not flinch, or somebody's going to call you something that's not so nice. But when you talk to other brothers, you get to see that there's a Mother's Day before us for a lot of reasons other than this. But one of the things in this present time that we talk about is that, our fraternity isn't as tight as a woman's sorority. You guys get together and you guys talk. You guys a lot of times have friends that you just spill everything to, the tea or whatever have you. A man typically just does what he does and does it alone, and sometimes in fear that if he shares this, he's going to be, the man with sensitivity, and, he won't be loved on so much anymore. I think when you put it all together, it's the journey that gets you to where me and the rest of the other brothers that are aspiring to be the best version of themselves that they can, looking back, looking in the mirror and saying, okay, how can I make myself better? Not just for me, because if I'm 100%, or working towards being 100%, then I know that I can help someone, and at first it's just me. But then then you have a wife, and so you're leading that way. And then with children, if you don't know, and if you don't have children, they expose everything that you're lacking. You're looking at them every single day and you talking to them, and they tell you things that you were lacking in your childhood that you want to give to them. You want everything about them. If you're loving on them the way I know a lot of brothers are loving on their children, you want to give them more than what you had, and that pushes you and drives you to get up every single day to do more and to be the best that you can so they can have more than you ever had. So this going a long way to say that it's the journey, it's the doing the work and staying on that so that you can, be the best you can, so that when you pass it on to, that next generation, they won't have as much work to do as you did.
Awesome. Okay, DeMonte, I see you close it on this question.
I really appreciate what the other brothers have shared. It reminds me, Soul, about how it's our duty to plant the seeds, even if we won't be able to reap the benefits of the shade. And when I heard that, I think about the role of a father and all the work that it encompasses to really establish legacy and to give all that you can to your family. But putting it all together, for me, my experiences has allowed me to be in particular spaces and places that has garnered me with skills and interests that led me to my current work. And so what I mean by that is because of my great uncle and his values and lessons that he bestowed upon me and my twin brother and my other siblings, is that I had my blinders on. My uncle wouldn't let us sort of struggle. He would, when the lights came on, you came inside. You want to go play basketball after school? No, you play basketball in this backyard, And so he really kept us close and really, emphasized the value of family. But knowing that, and knowing that I was able to get my education because of what he was able to, to give me and provide for me, those things sort of catapulted into, I never thought I'd be a doctoral student. Those things led me to be in the first, one of the first people in my family to graduate from college. And then from there, I said, you know what, I want to do more. I want to learn more about how I can support other young people who come from the foster care community like myself, particularly those who are Black and Latinx, excuse me. And so I said, I want to learn more. Went to USC, learned more. And I said, I'm not done. I started working at a college campus, and I was working there in alarming rates. And I said, there's more that I need to do, right? I was there, I was in the trenches, and I was doing the work. And it reminds me of the work that my uncle would do with me. And he would allow us sometimes to get our hands dirty, and with scaffolding and fixing light fixture. Sometimes you're gonna get a little scratched here and there. You're gonna trip and fall, but you're learning and it's teaching you what is it that you're gonna be good at, and it's teaching you, how can you take this knowledge and be able to make an impact with it. And so he did just that for me. And after I graduated, and I'm currently in my role now providing support and life skills for foster youth around LA County, never thought the day that I'd be able to formalize this, that it'll be established, that I get over $150,000 in grants. Like what? A young dude from Compton, just trying to figure things out. And it's working out. And I think that's what fatherhood is kind of going through the experiences with your children, and with your mentees, right? And with young people, and showing them, here's what you can do. Here are the steps that I took. And these are the challenges that I had. And hopefully you won't make the same mistakes. But if so, I'm here to pick you up and support you.
Awesome. My last question is, and you've been doing this throughout the other questions, but I'm going to say it. What words of wisdom or message can you give to our young men, fathers, and male role models alike in our community to help encourage them and strengthen their values and beliefs around fatherhood? So if there's anything else, starting with you, Pastor Ronald, in addition to what you shared, please do so.
Once again, thank you for this. The words of wisdom that I can give to any young men or young fathers or any one that is a male role model would be, as I said before, to be present, to be active, and involved. And what that all equals up to is time. time is the only thing that once it's gone, we never get back. And I believe more than, just providing, shelter and safety and supplying needs as fathers, our role models. I think the biggest impact we can make upon a person is the time that we spend with them. Take every opportunity to show them that the time that they have and the things that they're involved in is important to you, as a man, as a father, as a male role model. That's so important, because the time that you spend with them is the seeds that we plant in them, right? And then the more time we spend with them, not only are we planting seeds, but then we're watering those seeds, and then we are able to actually see the fruit of our labor from the time we put in. And a lot of young men and a lot of people, period, miss out on that time, and it affects them in the long run, right? Either the father figure is trying to catch up, or either that the child or the person that was longing for it or trying to gain it misses out on it. So my words of wisdom would be, make sure that you do your best to spend that time.
Great. Over to you now, Timmy.
I'll say a couple things on that. I want to say that whether you believe in, like, Willie Lynch or not, the fact is, in the Black community, you have a lot of broken homes that are there, and there are a lot of children out there trying to figure out what a father is, what to do when you become one. And I've already highlighted that, and so have the other brothers, that it's a journey, it's a process to getting there. But seek knowledge from people that are tried and true and you can trust. Every day, read something great, pray something great, wake up in the morning, look yourself in the mirror and tell yourself you're great, because there's going to be times where you get down, and something might happen that maybe didn't go your way, or did something you didn't expect and doesn't make you feel so good. But the more you give yourself that confidence, and just add stuff to your foundation by praying and by speaking positive things, life into your goals, the more that will be the thing that will vibrate through your consciousness when you get down, instead of something negative being there. And surround yourself around people that are doing things that you would like to do as a father, so you can understand that and learn what it takes to do those types of things, because it takes a long time for everyone to get to a state that looks so simple as a father. But it took time, because you had to break old habits, you had to become something different than you ever knew you needed to be. And that journey is actually a journey. It's not something that you're going to do in a sprint, and be done in 10 seconds, if you run with some of the fastest cats in the world. So for me, one of the best things I was able to do was mentor somebody before I had a child. I'll say this last thing here. Me and the brothers were speaking before we started here, and I was sharing with them that there was a church service I went to, and Bishop Omer, he encouraged us on a Father's Day service to, after service, to go in and encourage and support a brother that you thought was a shining example of a father in the community. And I was like, wow, that's dope, because I'm sure that doesn't happen often, from just a brother to another brother. So I called one of my homeboys, and he just out the blue, hadn't talked to him in a while, and I said, hey man, I want to give you some props. Every time I see you, you have your little girl with you, and you're always doing something. And he literally had nothing to say. He didn't really know how to receive that, because that this hadn't happened for him. And it didn't seem like not just from another brother, but this like period. So he was thrown off guard. And that told me that we need to encourage each other more as fathers, as men, so that we can keep, doing the work and know that it's okay to number one, to make mistakes and get back up and keep trying to be the best you that you can be.
Incredible. That's awesome. Okay, DeMonte, it's on you again.
Right. I really appreciate that story you shared. So about, not being able to receive the feedback or the encouragement, I wonder what the world will look like if outside of Father's Day, that fathers were really encouraged and supported in meaningful and powerful ways. And I say that because I'm always thinking about the imaginative. I'm always thinking about in what ways can we encourage as they come around. As I see a lot on social media, people say, my baby daddy ain't nothing, or they say, I'm the father and the mother, and it just kind of, for me, it doesn't resonate as well, and it kind of stirs up something in my spirit, because I believe that there should be an opportunity for a young person to have a strong relationship with their father, even if the father is not in the picture, even if the father is making some mistakes. They should still at least know who the father is and be in some type of communication or relationship. And that's coming from a spirit of, having been in foster care and being disconnected from my father and whatnot. So I can't speak for everyone, but I do want to say that some words of wisdom that come to mind in this particular area is, a mentor shared with me. He said, be more concerned about your character than your reputation, because your character is who you really are, and your reputation is merely what others think of you. And I was like, dang, that's crazy. As a young male, I was eager to sort of like fall in love or be in a relationship. And, I was worried about how I looked and how I sound and how what I was doing and how many people I can impress, where I wasn't focusing on my character, on integral and doing something that I said I was going to do, setting the goal, reaching out to people, loving people, encouraging people. And so it really, that quote really shifted my perspective. And I think for young people, particularly those who are interested in either being fathers or those who had some situations like mine where you wasn't as connected to your father, take advantage, as Pastor Ron said, take advantage of the time that you do have, because focusing on the past won't get you anywhere. And there's some things that must be healed. I'm not, saying that, just forget everything, but I am saying take advantage of what's in front of you, because love, kind of comes from both ways. It wasn't until I actually met with my dad and spoke to him about many of these socio-political factors that limited him from providing me and my family with the love that we needed, is when I was able to forgive him and kind of move forward and understand that my impression and perception of him was not true and was not real. It wasn't an authentic connection. It was just, he was this man who served as my father, but I didn't build a relationship with him until more recently. And so that's why Ron's statement about taking advantage of the time that you have with your dad and really ensuring that you're being intentional, even from you as the child, because sometimes people are like, I'm the child, I shouldn't have to forgive this person, or I shouldn't have to do this or that. Sometimes it takes us being, as they would call it, quote unquote, the bigger person, to really allow our relationship to flourish, because I'm sure dads too are thinking about, I messed up. And I know my child thinks this way about me. And not only until we articulate that to our parents, to our fathers, will they be able to understand that we're there just as much as they've been able to pick us up in some of the times that we've fallen. We're there to also lift them and encourage them. And as Soul said, we need to do that more often.
Incredible. Just insight. All right, listeners, that's our time. Thank you so much for joining us at the table for this special Father's Day episode. We heard some incredible insights and messages about fatherhood and how critical fathers and father-like figures are in the rearing of a child and as role models and mentors in our adult lives. I want to thank our remarkable guests, Pastor Ronald, Timmy, and DeMonte, for joining us at the table today and sharing their uplifting and inspiring experiences for this Father's Day. We are so very appreciative of your time and expertise and just the knowledge, motivation, and encouragement you have given to so many men and fathers out there that they can hopefully embrace. Listeners, if you have stories you would like to share about being a father or what fatherhood means to you, we would love to hear from you. Please drop us a line at Cynthia@theTable.com. I'll leave you all now with a quote from Ty Howard on fatherhood. He said, "A real dad leaves evidence of accountability, reliability, teaching, coaching, lessons learned, growth, maturity, inspiration, perseverance, faith, love, family, and home." From all of us at Cynthia at the Table, Dad, we love, honor, and thank you from the bottom of our heart. And we appreciate you for being the foundational provider for so many of us. Happy Father's Day to you and all of the fathers around the world. Be sure to join us at the table next time. And don't forget to follow us on all of our social media platforms. Until next time, continue to be safe, stay well, and stay connected. Thank you all again so very much. Have an awesome Father's Day.